Hello and welcome to another episode of The Modern Nerd. I am Sir Slice,
I'm merchandise.
And I'm GJC.
and we are, as always, massive nerds.
So you got to do that side, and I'll do this side.
Yeah, wait. Let's see. Let's see. Let's
see
do
if
this
we can
live.
get this
I'm
this
gonna
Linus
put my hands like
Linus
this.
up. Massive. Other hand, Sparch.
Oh,
Other
other
hand.
hand.
I'm
hand.
mirrored. All right,
There we go. Yeah.
We gotta work on this. Sorry.
Yeah, all right, we'll get it. We'll get it next time. We're having a lot of fun here, guys. This has
We
been a
gotta
good
work
time.
on that.
So before we get into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we're going to say thank you for tuning in and watching. If you're catching us on the YouTube, whenever this goes up, thank you very much. If you're catching us live right now, thank you as well. We appreciate it. Make sure you give it a like and subscribe over on the YouTube. Check out the new shorts. We got a lot of new content coming your way. There's a Modern Nerd 13 on TikTok. There's some videos up there as well. Instagram, a couple
What's
of Facebook
TikTok?
videos, but make sure you go check them out. We're doing new stuff for you guys because we want to bring you entertainment, and I'm going to start bringing you some more news and things that are happening in the world. Nerd related, that is. Also, GJC, Smirch, thank you for doing this with us again. We always have a good time, and we're going to keep doing these as long as we fucking want to. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review. So, man, this movie came out, last weekend? This weekend? I don't even know. Yeah, this weekend. This was opening weekend at time of recording, and we've all seen it within the last 3 days. I got to see it in an Alamo Draft House. If you don't know what those are, AMC has something similar to it where you place an order and they bring you food at your seat, and they're nice. I enjoy that aspect of it. It's not my favorite movie going experience because there's constantly people running around the aisles bringing people food and shit. But it didn't really take too much away from me from this movie because nothing happened at like the crucial moments where I'm like, I can't see, move.
Is it
So
recliners?
a little bit. They're soft and they're big chairs. They're nice. They're Texas local, obviously. They had one in San Francisco. They might be bringing one to Chicago. I know they did one in New York and they're bringing them all over the place. The company's actually really cool. They do a lot of like charity work and stuff like that. There was a fire that destroyed a city block in San Francisco while I lived there, and they had special screenings for about 2 days, and all of the proceeds went to help these people who lost their homes and their goods and their clothes and all that stuff. So that was a really
Righteous.
cool thing. But that being said, I will just hop in and say I really liked this movie quite a bit. Shocking, I know.
Great transition.
This guy liked the movie. So this was more emotional. I knew it was going to be semi-emotional. I did. This was way more emotional than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And I liked that. It did a very good job on pulling at all these strings involving Rocket. And I really appreciated them doing that because my biggest concern and or critique of the last couple of movies that have come out from Marvel have been they've just been like overly goofy for no reason. And this really, was goofy in a James Gunn kind of way, but that emotional level was there, and so it pulled you back out of it, and it allowed you to feel it, and then get back into some action or some comedy. So he did a really good job, and I know not everybody heard my rant about James Gunn last time I did a James Gunn sort of thing because I cut it out of the episode, and because I went kind of a little too hard even for me, and I felt bad. But I was gonna post it separately, but I may take a couple things back because this was a very, very good movie. And I really enjoyed it. Dan?
Yeah, it was good. It was a really good movie. They told a story. It was organically done. I was really into it. The last, half hour, 45 minutes wasn't bad by any means, but I don't know, Rocket just kind of came back and there wasn't much kerfuffle, you know. There was one nice moment where we saw um Nebula have like a real serious moment, like he's okay, and in that instant you remember that during the blip it was like her and Rocket were
Yeah.
bonding that entire time and everyone else was gone. And that was a nice little moment there, but that removed it just kind of, I don't know, if I think from that moment forward it just felt like they went back to the template of a Marvel movie. That hallway scene, I love. It was very cool. I loved it. I think maybe I'm getting older. Maybe I've seen so many of these movies. I felt like I should have enjoyed that more than I did. It was really cool, but it felt also just inserted in there. And then right after that, it just kind of like went to the next scene. And I don't know. There was a lot of moments like that for the last like half hour of the movie that just kind of felt like they were like going through the motions again. And I will say, not that I'm disappointed per se, but I was 90% certain that someone was going to die, and they kind of debated us at the end there.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
So overall, though, probably I still think this might be the best outing of a Marvel movie since Endgame.
Mm.
Strong words. Strong words. I like it, George.
I really enjoyed it also. But that could just be because I really literally just went to go see it. But I would say I really enjoyed it, and it did have that kind of definitely the James Gunn like comedy. And I understand a lot of people might not enjoy that or have had enough of that kind of comedy, but he does have some way of just being really good at pulling like ragtag group of people together and making a really good team. He did that even for, I think a pretty decent job for even DC, and or with what he had to work with.
It's decent.
So, and obviously he did a good enough job that they let him run the whole place now. So,
mild success. You get the keys to the castle.
Pretty much.
Anyway.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it is. But did I say James Gunn? Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. I think what I liked a lot about it is a lot of the stuff that we've been wanting the storylines for all the characters to like fit that were left open. There's no reason for them to come back in a way, at least. Do you know what I'm saying? All the storylines that had to be closed off were closed off, and everyone, you got to see it. Like any questions that you had lingering on from the series or the franchise are pretty much answered. Like, a lot of the questions that you had about where they were going to go, especially after they dropped off Thor, which like kind of a lot of people forget that actually we've been seeing the Guardians since Endgame several times. We saw them in Thor, and then we also saw them in a Christmas special. So like we've seen them like here and there, kind of sprinkled in for a while, So it's not like in many ways like we were more fortunate to like be able to kind of tie up any loose ends, and maybe now people who saw that, oh, Mantis is Star-Lord's brother, sister, maybe now people will go back and watch the Christmas special, because I also thought that was really fun. So there we go. That's all.
Yeah. So I'm going to go off of that note as well, because I really did expect a little bit more of a payoff on finding out that they're brother and sister. They didn't really do anything with it, like at all, except for one scene where it was brought up that it was like, why don't you tell him you're his sister? And he's like, he never listens to me. And then like later on, he said something like, oh, you're my sister. That's all I need to know. And I was like, oh, that's it? Like, that's the only reason you did that? Okay, cool. So, that I wished a little bit more. My only other critique of this movie, and then I'll open up to you guys' critiques, was unfortunately, fuck's his name?
Warlock.
Thank you, Adam Warlock. And here's my thing. You look at any movie, Marvel movie, that has two villains and it sucks. It did.
Mm,
MODOK was the second villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. You had that. If you go back as far as in Eternals, they had a second villain, and it sucked. It made no sense. There was no use for that creature that like absorbed all of their powers, and then suddenly it dies at the end, and you're
I'm
like,
trying to
oh,
think.
okay. Like there aren't
Iron
that
Man
many
had a
other
second.
movies.
Iron Man, both Iron Mans 1 and 2 had two villains.
One didn't.
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, but I
The-
mean that was
the
those
Ten
two
Rings
were a little
dude,
different.
and then Stain, and then
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I still
you
stand
lose,
by.
and I got you
I
the
still
bird.
stand by
It's the
all
bird.
three of them. Yeah, but they made Hammer like a secondary character. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I think
When you
I
look
think it
back, I feel
worked.
like Hammer carried that whole entire villain side of the storyline in many ways.
It worked for me, you know, but like you look at the newer ones, what they're trying to do with them, and I don't think they're really writing that secondary character very well. Both MODOK and Adam Warlock were done pretty dirty, in my opinion.
Okay.
There was a moment that I think they could have fixed it right after Adam Warlock's mother was killed. I 100% expected him to like get so mad at the High Evolutionary or whatever that he
Right.
joins the Guardians. And I'm like, you should have done that. That would have made more sense than him just showing up, getting angry, and then knocking someone out, and then getting knocked out himself. I'm like, what was the point of those scenes where he came in all, you know, super hot at the end and then did nothing? I'm like, you didn't really do much. Like you didn't add really much. That early fight scene was kind of cool, you know, when he first showed up before he started
I-
talking. I was like, all right,
I have
that
a
was cool. I'm
question
excited
also.
for this. And then then he started talking, and I'm like, what are you doing? What is this? Why is he a child? What are you doing?
Yeah, a lot of weird inconsistencies, you know, I think, like with his storyline as far as like just not very fleshed out. But that's okay. I mean,
No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not,
like,
yeah.
I don't care. I don't see. That's the thing. It's like the people who really like watch, like, you know a lot about the character, and like the comic book fans might really, but for like casual fans, they just probably write it off as like a new side character that they're introducing and like whatever. Like that's
I think. Here's what I think. I think his character progression mirrors that of the people making the decisions for his character progression, and that they couldn't make up their fucking minds.
You're
So
right.
they
You're
just
totally
like them
right.
like toe the fucking line the whole movie for a pretty like lame dramatic ending, or finally making the decision at the end for a fucking debate death, which I guess I don't know. I don't think that any of it was worth it.
It just felt like they forgot that they introduced him in two. Like this story, the overall story had nothing to do with Adam Warlock and those people, the gold people from that movie. Like nothing. It all was the High Evolutionary, if I'm saying that right. And like
And he wasn't even all that bad. You know what I mean? Like
I thought he was, yeah, I thought he was cool. I liked the character. I liked the act. I thought the over, you know, that just obsessiveness. I like that in the character. So I was like, cool, like, fine, this is great. Like a good performance. If that's what you're going for, then you
Right.
fucking nailed it. But
Yeah,
you
it's
just,
true.
you just kind of, it felt almost like the
He was a ch-
studio
he
told
was
him
just
to
a
put
chump at
in.
the end though. Like they like took him down like no problem. Like
Yeah.
not even a fight. Like I was ready for that. After him pwning everyone and killing all of his like
Yeah.
his subordinates, like
It-
I was like, okay, he's gonna give him a fight. He gave them zero fight.
Yeah.
They literally just
Yeah.
waltzed in there and took him down.
He can
Like,
he can control everything around him with that purpley whatever beam.
yeah, it kind of
construct,
reminds me
and
of
then
another
suddenly-
villain.
Why didn't he use it? Oh, yeah, he forgot. that he
Kind of
had it.
reminds me of another villain who had
I know where
that
you're
same
going with
power.
this. Who is it, George?
Kind
Say
of.
it.
I mean,
Syndrome?
it's pretty much like Kane's like powers as well. Like Kane does
Mm.
literally the same thing.
Who?
mm,
Kane, the Conqueror,
Kang.
Victor
Yeah.
Timely,
Yeah.
Immortus,
Or
Iron
Syndrome.
Lad, Centurion, He Who
Yeah.
Remains, all of the above. He has that same tech too, actually. Like that's literally what he uses for the TVA, and as well as used against Janet.
Here's the thing I've been not reading. It's not anything confirmed. It's all just wild internet speculation. But given the current Jonathan Majors situation, there is wild internet speculation that they could just say, "Oh, this is a variant of Kang," and call him, and then just replace Jonathan Majors.
No, they're not going
with
to make
this
a
actor.
decision like that right away.
Not yet, but
Well,
that's, again,
his
wild
like,
internet speculation.
I mean, his thing, his. I mean, as far as his case goes, they have like video evidence.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I'm just saying, it wouldn't be like the wildest of jumps to put this guy in as Kang as well and call it a variant and go nuts with it. But that's neither here nor there.
Too early to make that call.
Yeah. So I mean, this really was mostly about, like, to me, the core of this movie was character development and tying up, like you said, tying up all the stories from the previous movies and really finalizing these characters' moments. I don't feel like Gamora got a proper ending because that's not Gamora. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same one.
Gamora's story got the biggest mistreatment out of the whole movie, even more than Adam Warlock, in my opinion.
Well, I do
now, what I will say is that, like, in terms of what happens with her, it was actually out of bounds for like what a normal Marvel movie would go with, because it was kind of a realistic portrayal of what would have happened had these actual events like transpired. Like, this is what would have happened. But this isn't we go to these movies to escape. Like, I was ready for literally anything else to happen other than what actually happened.
And Gamora going back.
Just and like, all of us, like, she's like, it's all about no friends, and at the end of the movie she's like hugging everyone. She
didn't. She just was smiling as they hugged everyone.
Okay,
she wasn't part of the group hug.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking when she went back to the Ravagers.
Oh yeah.
They were hugging like they were like the greatest of friends, and I'm just like, okay, I don't really get this. I don't get any of her story. Like, fine, as a realistic portrayal, it's the only thing that's going for it. Otherwise, like, what was even the point in having her in this movie? To me, there wasn't one. And I think it would have been better off if they gave Adam Warlock a little bit more story and more screen time than just have like fucking Peter Quill be like the whole movie. Like, we knew that's how he felt. Like, they just kind of kept doing it over and over again, and it came to a head when she like punched him, and then nothing really. That was it. There was a nice moment where she smiled, and then it was wasted, in my opinion.
I think he could have had better closure if he was dealing with it while she wasn't around. You know what I mean? Like, just
something.
You can acknowledge that she's off with the Ravagers. That's fine. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, who cares? Because it's an afterthought. But then just have him process through the emotion with his friends and family and getting over it, but not like force him to go face to face with this person. And like, that's a whole different. Like, it was a little strange. But I mean, I always liked Zoe Saldana, and she got to do a different take on the character, and that was nice to see, but it didn't fit this movie. There's nothing wrong with what she did. It's just the writing didn't fit perfectly.
I will say I'm really glad, though, because of certain things, because certain choices, because, like, let's be honest, like, from outside of like her and Star-Lord, they were like the two sort of, I mean, sure, you could say Rocket as well, but like the people, if you talk about most lines and actual talking and scenes since the beginning of the series, like, it's Star-Lord and it's Gamora and it's Rocket. They're the ones who talk and like take up the most screen time out of the whole entire group. Like Drax, Mantis, like all those other guys are like side characters, I'm sorry to say, in the beginning. So like, I'm glad that we had a Christmas special that like featured Mantis and featured Drax, and then this time, if you notice, those characters, her and also even Nebula, took more of a front row seat in the plot and all the scenes than even Star-Lord and even in Rocket, because Rocket was mostly flashbacks, and Gamora took a backseat too. So this gave those characters, secondary characters, a chance to like lead the ensemble and finish off strong with the storyline. And in many ways, I think that's kind of fitting because it gave
good.
Batista a chance to like really stretch his legs and close this character out. It gave Mantis a chance, and it gave Karen Gillan, is that her name, Karen Gillan?
Gillan.
Like a chance to finish off the story too. So like everyone kind of got their moment to like shine finally in the franchise.
Yeah.
I think I can appreciate that. If that meant less Gamora and less Star-Lord and less Rocket, in many ways that's actually fitting.
I actually think that Rocket, but we're having a movie basically be mostly about him, did not really get his time to shine at any point in this movie.
In this movie, no, definitely not.
His story though, like his
story was good, but we needed. I mean, he chose to walk away from killing the guy, which I don't even know if they left that door open. I don't even remember, to be honest. But that feeling for a movie basically about Rocket, we had like, and though he was named captain in the end, and that was nice, but between the scene of him becoming captain and him waking up, it was kind of like nothing, like none of it happened. Like it was just like it all felt very typical. Like he didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't like get to shine. Like it was like, oh, Rocket's up. All right, cool. Like no one had a moment of thank God you're okay. Like no one
they had the moments they needed because they were still in the middle of a mission. You know what I mean? As they say, there's always like that now is not the time to grieve when, or like to be joyous and to let emotion overflow when you're literally trying to wrangle children and get off of a ship before it fucking kills you or something like that. You know what I mean? So I get
agree.
it.
I agree.
For
to
me,
a point though.
To me, it landed fine. It's still an ensemble movie. You can't necessarily take it and make it 100% about Rocket. You can take the emotional moments and make it Rocket centric, and I think that's what it was. Because I think they knew that the whole Peter Quill and Gamora wasn't gonna hit you in the strings like they wanted it to, and so Rocket was where they're gonna pull those, and that worked. And in the end, I think it was fine. Again, I'm not looking for like Academy Award performances, but there were some better ones. We got, like George was saying, we got more Karen Gillan, which I'm always a fan of. I will say this. Drax did have a bit of a change from the last two movies. He wasn't as completely goofy in those last couple ones, because I hated that Drax. It was just completely over the top, goofy comic relief in a movie where you don't even need, where every character is comic relief. So I didn't care for that treatment, and this movie really did him a little bit more justice. I'm not saying it's the Batista show, but it was a lot better than it was. Mm-hmm. And to your point earlier about that fight scene, I loved that fucking fight scene in the hallway. I thought it was cool. It's, to me, one of the better fight scenes we've had in phase 4 and 5. You know what I mean? It was just super cool. Plus, we finally got to see Drax be the Destroyer. He fought in those things a lot more than he has in the last 5 appearances he's made in Marvel movies throughout all of them. Because all he ever did was and like just stab things like repeatedly on the back. And I'm like, this is not fighting. This is not who Drax the Destroyer is. This is Drax the comic relief who doesn't understand what knives are and is just fucking swinging away. And he got to kick some ass in this movie, and I really appreciated that. So getting to see Batista be a little bit more Batista was kind of fucking cool. So
it was a nice, very like Avenger-esque moment where they, all the heroes do that one fight scene together, and then they do like the 3D 60 camera angles, and I mean, I could appreciate it, and it was definitely more violent and gory than you would typically get in a regular Marvel film, which I can appreciate, especially after they dropped the F-bomb like so casually. It
was weird. I loved it. I don't care if people are like, that's stupid.
Just very
way
casually
described, I fucking loved that moment. I was laughing so hard right when that happened.
James Gunn was like, "How many can I get in?"
I can't tell you why I was laughing so hard.
I was gonna say, what was so funny about it? I don't even remember
just-
what it was.
It's
It was just
casual.
like he was
Open
trying
the
to
fucking
teach her
door is
how to
all he
open
said.
the door. Yeah, he was trying to teach her how to open the door, and it became like press the button. She's like, I am pressing the button. It's not working. He's like, it doesn't look like it, and he's like, let me try it again. And then she's like, press the button. And it was like, it looks like you're pressing the keyhole. And she's like, what? And then he goes, all right, she goes, now I pressed it. And she goes, now what? And he goes, open the fucking door. It's such an obvious next step that you say open the fuck, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know why, but for me, I was laughing, and there was nobody else laughing as hard as me in the theater, which I thought made it even funnier for me. Nadi was like, that was actually pretty good. She's like, you really like that? I'm like, I don't know why. I don't.
Because
I
it's
can't
funny. It's so
explain it.
relatable.
Yeah, it
That's
was
funny.
for me. I was like, it was a very Earth moment. You know what I mean? You're not in space. You're opening a fucking.
Have you ever
19-
tried to
1987
explain to someone
Cadillac,
how to
you know?
get into like a Tesla who's never gotten into Tesla? It's the same reaction. They're like, "What the?" Like any of those new car
Yeah.
doors that like don't have an actual handle, and you're just like you're supposed to rub up against it and it's gonna pop out or whatever. People who've never done it, they're like same reaction. They're like, "Now what?" Like, and they're like, "Now you pull on it," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
It's
Same
like
thing.
teaching. Like teaching a child to use a rotary phone right now. You know, like it's such old technology that you're like, I don't understand why this isn't working. And I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was strange that this is the movie that gets the first F-bomb when like Deadpool 3 is around the corner and they're going to be bringing out Punisher again and like all these other things that are a little bit more deserving of a first F-bomb, and this one gets it. And I'm like, all right, like fuck it. Why not? Let's do it. But
They have to casually get it, desensitize you to it, and then maybe the next time you'll get 2 F-bombs. Just start it, and then by the time Deadpool comes, he's just like, F-bombs galore, let's go! They made this rated R, they didn't care.
Yeah, it's it was cool. Like I said, look, we could sit here and rip this movie apart all day long because it's what we do. It's how we look at movies now. Unfortunately, we can enjoy it's kind of cool because we can still enjoy something and then pick it apart and then come back to that moment and be like, you know what, but I still really loved it. Like after everything, I do want to talk about
that was me with Katie Sackhoff. I want to say,
sure,
I was real hard on Katie Sackhoff. And
Yeah.
I was like, why was I? She's doing
how it
fine.
goes.
You know?
I have one more thing I wanted to talk about actually that ties into our overarching theme that I brought up, which is helmets. Star-Lord didn't have a helmet the whole entire time.
Oh,
Remember he used to
right.
have a helmet that would let
got
him fly
destroyed.
into outer space?
Wait, how did it get destroyed?
It got destroyed. I remember it getting destroyed. I want to say,
Versus
damn it!
Thanos?
No, did he give it to somebody? Internet, help me out here. Someone out there watching, you have to know the answer to
Well,
this
how
question.
does he
but
not just have one replaced? It seems like such good tech that he used to have. And the rocket boots. Why is he not rocking the rocket boots?
Which is funny because I did just buy the Lego Star-Lord helmet.
None of
because
that
this
made
movie's
any
coming
sense
out, but it's
at
not
the
even
end.
in
That's
the
why
movie.
I was like, why didn't he just do his thing that he did last,
He gave it to someone, didn't he?
Who the hell did he give that shit to?
Are you looking it up, Dan?
I am.
Sure.
I
You can
mean,
give it
it
to
doesn't say what. I don't think we saw it leave. According to James Gunn, Star Lord's helmet is in a desk on nowhere.
So he's just not
Yeah.
rocking it.
I don't know.
That's fine. Fuck it.
He had to get out of there fast, is what he said.
They needed a reason to have fucking Warlock come and save him. You know what I mean? So
That's it. That's totally it.
yeah.
Okay, well, nonetheless, which is interesting because there you go. There is now a whole movie where somebody who normally wears a mask didn't wear a mask, and they were like, "We're just no masks."
He
It's
didn't
like-
have as much screen time though. Like you
It's
were
very
saying
much,
earlier,
Edna Mode, no capes, like no masks.
right? It's fine. I was fine without it. I did notice at the end of the movie, I was like, he didn't put his helmet on ever. Like even not during that scene, but I was just like at the
forgot
end,
about
I
it.
was like,
Ever.
wait, he didn't put his helmet on. Like
He
I
also
just
didn't
bought
have
this
his
thing.
He also didn't have like his rocket boots.
That's what I'm saying. No
or,
rocket
like-
boots. No.
That's what
no
George
helmet.
said.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah, it's
not when the helmet is
Well,
arguably one of the more like
He had
iconic things
in-
about him.
Didn't he have it in the first scene when Adam Warlock fought? I think he did. He have
No,
the
he
boots?
did not. He didn't have it the
No?
whole movie. He didn't even have it. He didn't even put anything on. He woke up out of bed hungover and started fighting right away, and then for some reason went off on a space adventure not wearing any space gear.
Did
I wonder. I guess I think Tim's right. The real reason that he didn't have it for
It's in
narrative
Warlock.
sense was for the
Yeah,
ending.
for the
though,
ending.
which is
Obviously, now it's obvious, but
Not-
it's like
not
also,
worth it. But
you know, they paid this guy all this money, so they might as well show his face the whole time.
yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. Did during that scene? First of all, it's awesome to see Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
during all that.
Cameos,
Anything.
dude.
I'm
Cameos,
all for
Miley
it.
Cyrus. Michelle Yeoh did not show up.
Miley Cyrus was not in this movie, dude. She got
No?
recast.
She got
Yeah.
recast. Oh,
She was not
Michelle
in it.
Yeoh
Mike-
did not show up.
Michael Rosenbaum was in this
Michael
movie.
Rosenbaum was there, but Michelle
He got a
Yeoh.
line, so you know he got paid too.
Mhm.
So during that scene, when they were in Oscorp, whatever you want to call it, Ogacorp, I don't remember what it was called.
Corp.
Flesh
Whatever.
Corp.
Yeah, right. Did anyone else think that Drax was gonna die? Like this is the way he sends it. He gets shot in the
Like
fucking
repeatedly, yeah.
chest,
It's
and then
too
in the
early
back.
in the movie.
I think
I thought for a second.
the way
but no.
Batista was talking about how he wants to send off this character, I was like, oh shit, did he die? Like, oh no. So, but
There were. I was so sure someone was dying in this movie. Like I was 90% sure,
Yeah.
and no one died. And I was like, oh, I'm not disappointed per se, but yeah, I feel like there needed to be
You know,
something.
some people did die, Dan. A lot of people died actually in this movie, including that whole planet of people, and then also that guy that got toasted by Adam Warlock, like when she just said, "Teach him a lesson,
was
show him we mean
ridiculous.
business," and he just
Yeah.
like randomly went overboard and torched the dude. Like I was like, man, and then of course Nathan Fillion's like, I got one of those too.
It was good. It was good. All right. So we got 2 end credit scenes, and apparently kind of relevant. Really, the end text more than that second end scene was more relevant. But the first mid credit scene was all of the new Guardians of the Galaxy who are taking over. So Rocket is the captain. You've got Sean Gunn. I don't remember his name in the movie. I can't. And then you
Krill.
got what?
Isn't his name Krill?
Maybe. Anyway, you got Adam Warlock. I know the character who I'm thinking of, but there's another one. There was a 5th member. Who was it?
Kraglin. Kraglin is
Kraglin. Kraglin.
Yeah.
But the main one I want to talk about is the thing that nobody really knows, and this is more of the deep nerd in me, and I only know a little bit about her. Is that blonde-haired kid that we saw, who was one of the saved children from that planet? Her name is, and I'm probably gonna say it wrong, is like Phyla Vel or Phyla Vel, who is the daughter of Mar-Vell, and someone else who I believe this makes this girl half Kree, half Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Whoa.
in the comics, she is at least a little more powerful than Captain Marvel. So they kind of just sort of introduced someone who could wipe the floor with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. And it just was like, yeah, here she is as a fucking kid. And I was like, oh, all right. But apparently she's not necessarily, I don't know how she can be a daughter of Mar-Vell when she appears to be a creation of the High Evolutionary. So what they're going to do with them, if they do anything with these new Guardians, I don't know. What we did then see was a scene, a funny little scene between Peter Quill and his grandfather on Earth having cereal, talking about the neighbors and shit, which I thought was like, all right, there's your comedy, fine.
I don't understand him. I didn't hear what he was saying when I was watching it.
Because he was
What
eating.
we got out of it was the next, when that scene ended, you have some text that said Star-Lord will be returning. To me, that's the biggest thing here, because like maybe they'll use something with the Guardians. That seems like the obvious choice for that group of characters. Where's Peter Quill gonna go? Like what's he gonna? He's gonna drop into something, but like where? Like where would that character make sense? The Marvels, Fantastic Four,
Something taking place on Earth, I would assume.
Maybe he leaves again and goes back into outer space. Like what could we possibly, what more? I don't want more. I don't need more Star-Lord in the Marvel universe. You know, if you're gonna continue on with like an earlier character, you know, give me someone else, anybody else. You know, bring fucking Widow back. I mean, that's never gonna happen, but like, you know what I mean? Like more of those characters, like redo Thor and make him cool again. You know, like
I know
do
where he
some-
would. I know where he would probably show up.
Where?
Spider-Man. I wouldn't be surprised if they
Mm.
brought him in.
All right, yeah, maybe.
It'd
Maybe.
be an interesting place because Spider-Man
They are-
seems to be the spot that they want to do crossovers with other characters.
In the movie, the next movie, the fourth one.
No, just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he does. Spider-Man has crossovers, like
Well, he
Doctor
has
Strange.
to.
That I that's my point. Is like they're gonna a lot of movies now have crossovers, but his is like now slated to always be like a mega crossover event now after setting precedent. So I feel like places that random people will show up, Spider-Man sequels.
I mean, we know that we're gonna get a lot of people in, you know, the street level characters like your Daredevil and Punisher, Echo. All those upcoming shows are gonna have just a lot of people from all of those different shows and stuff. So I don't think he's gonna be on the street level stuff. But you know, I mean, if you're talking just like a small crossover, like you're already doing so many, why not some more? So I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie again, how the fuck are you at this end of this episode? But go see it.
Open the fucking door.
It's open the fucking door. It's worth it at this point. You get a good send off for all these characters. You may like some of the stuff we said, agree with it. You may disagree with it and like some other shit and think some of the stuff we said was stupid as hell. We want to know. Tell me. Sound off in the comments on YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are. DM me, DM George. Screw it. Who cares? You can DM Dan. He's not going to know how to open it, but let us know. We will talk to you. Don't DM
Just
me.
comment
don't DM
below.
George. Yeah,
I'll
comment
read
below. We'll read all the comments. I gotta give the classic "What up, Tab?" because MP Tab showed up. Thank you,
What up,
appreciate it again. That's my thing now. I'm just gonna say it, and it's gonna happen. So, what up, Tab? Yeah,
Thank you.
make sure if you haven't that you like and subscribe. I got nothing else to say really about this movie. It was a good one.
I cried.
What's next? Do we know what's next? Oh, I cried the fuck
cried.
out of that movie.
I'll admit it.
With-
I cried.
with when Lila and
I cried a lot.
And Floor and
Everyone had
Teefs,
a happy
that was
like.
rough.
I think everyone had like a good ending, and that's like it's kind of like saying goodbye to old friends. It's like when you graduate from like high school, or not high school per se, but maybe when you're done doing
talking about?
a play, or whatever. Yeah, it feels like the end of something. You'll still keep in touch with those friends, but you know that it'll never kind of be the same. It's like when you leave summer camp. It's like it's never going to be the same kids. It's never going to be the same. Like that summer is over, and that's what it kind of feels like. The end of the school year, the end of the summer camp, and like you might keep in touch with some of those kids and some of those counselors, but like that summer's over, and that special time that you had with these people, it's not going to be the same group ever again.
Yep, that's true. And these three, I think of trilogies, I think it's probably one of the stronger ones. I think it beats Thor. I'd say it's probably a little better than the Iron Man ones. I like
Iron Man had
all
like
three
a
of
week,
those.
like
Yeah,
ending kind of technically.
Think of all the number 3s that have sucked, and this one didn't suck. This one was quite good.
Council War is pretty fucking good.
Civil War is good, but
But
we
that's
can't all
like the
be Civil War.
exception of like
Yeah,
that's almost like Avengers
it almost
2.5.
doesn't count. Yeah, that's like not. Yeah,
Is that really a Captain America movie, or is it just
Nah,
Avengers 2.5?
it's Avengers 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like, you definitely have a point for the trilogies.
I think their an average score is better than the rest of them.
it's better
Maybe
than Thor. That's for
me.
sure.
For me, it's closer to Iron Man. Where it's like you got some solid movies. I think Iron Man 1 I liked. 2 was better than 3 maybe, but again, they're average. They're not like horrible. They're not like Thor 1 and 2. You know what I mean? Those two movies are really
that's
not
fine.
good.
I feel like these are all way better than the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go for it. That's
Yeah.
fine. They're all So, but I think 2 was the weakest of this one, and that wasn't even that bad. It was fun.
What's special
It was
about
good.
Guardians is it did have what's special about like the same thing that was special about Iron Man 2. It was like two properties, quote unquote, that like people had never fucking heard of until like it was pretty much, you know,
They-
most people have never heard of. Guardians, not a lot of, even comic book fans, not a lot of them have read it. They might have heard of them, but they had no idea in a
deep
million
fan.
years that they were going to decide to do Guardians. It seemed really random, you know?
Yeah.
And like Iron Man was kind of special like that too. It was like they took essentially what they thought was like a D tier like hero and they turned it into the center of the franchise.
He was a B.
Okay,
Iron
fine,
Man was
whatever.
a B character.
I
He
don't
was
know.
part of the
C,
part of the Avengers,
B,
but
whatever.
he wasn't.
He's
wasn't.
a
You're
human,
right. He was,
okay? That
was
doesn't have any
never the
special
biggest-
powers. But they somehow made that. What's amazing is they made that like the starting point and like the grounding point of a whole entire like universe, you know. And in many ways, Guardians of the Galaxy served that purpose for the cosmic like universe. You know, it grounded it enough and introduced you to a small little corner of the cosmic universe in the MCU, and from there on in, it kind of grew bigger and bigger. And I think in that way, it served its purpose because without it, maybe you would have had a harder time accepting cosmic stories like Captain Marvel and like Thor running around with freaking Hulk on a random ass cosmic planet. You know what I'm
That's a good
saying?
point.
Like, that's just my.
So, I will say, this is just go see the movies. The next thing that's coming out from Marvel, I'm actually, of all of it, I'm the most intrigued by it. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but it to me seems like it should have, based on its comic book origin, a very major impact on the following phases of Marvel, and that's Secret Invasion coming out in June. So next month, Secret Invasion starts coming out. So, maybe that they're going to dumb it down and make it not as important necessarily to the overall Marvel thing, but maybe they'll surprise us. I hope they do because they kind of realized what they've done. Maybe they're like, shit, I know they did some reshoots, not recently, but they did do some reshoots on it. So hopefully they're going to kind of give us a little bit more impact on it. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about that next month when it comes out, but we're going to have a bunch more things coming up. George has been making a lot of these shorts that you're seeing out there, so check those out. Give him a solid like. I'm gonna be start making some more. Dan's gonna be Dan. Yeah.
He's busy, dude.
Yeah, and he's busy. We're all working and stuff. I'll be working soon too. So, but stay tuned. We're gonna be doing some more stuff that's not just reviews because I really, really, really want to start getting into some other content for you guys. So, I'm going to forget again how I end the show. If you've had a good time, we have been the Modern Nerd, and thank you for watching.